Starlink's internet services reaches all continents. Elon Musk is among the world's most ambitious entrepreneurs. His companies have been performing well and delivering for the past couple of years now. Musk's SpaceX internet service provider Starlink recently crossed a new milestone. It's become the first internet provider to be available on every continent on Earth, including Antarctica. So, how did Starlink manage to achieve this impressive feat? Let's take a look in this video. After years of development within SpaceX, Starlink picked up the pace in 2021. In January, after 3 years' worth of successful launches, the project had surpassed 1,000 satellites delivered into orbit. 1 year and dozens of successful launches later, Starlink now boasts well over 2,000 functional satellites orbiting overhead. For those who do not know, Starlink is a satellite constellation system that aims to deliver global internet coverage. This system is ideally suited for rural and geographically isolated areas where internet connectivity is unreliable or non-existent. So, places such as Antarctica or the remote Pacific Islands are a great place to get Starlink's services up and running. Starlink services were first launched in the United States, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands in August 2020. SpaceX's initiative is to create a global broadband network. Starlink uses a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites to provide high-speed internet services. Starlink operates on a satellite internet service technology that has existed for decades. Instead of using cable technology, such as fiber optics to transmit internet data, a satellite system uses radio signals through the vacuum of space. Ground stations broadcast signals to satellites in orbits, which in turn relay the data back to the Starlink users on Earth. Each satellite in the Starlink constellation weighs 573 pounds and has a flat body. This is done so in order to transport as many satellites as possible into Earth's orbit. One SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket can lift up to 60 satellites. The goal of Starlink is to create a low-latency network in space that facilitates edge computing on Earth. The challenge of creating a global network in outer space isn't a small one, especially because low latency is an important demand. SpaceX has proposed a constellation of almost 42,000 tablet-sized satellites circling the globe in low orbit to meet this demand. The CubeSats, miniature satellites commonly used in LEO, create tight network coverage, and their low Earth orbit produces low latency. Now that we know how Starlink's internet services work, let's take a look at their internet speeds. Starlink offers unlimited high-speed data through an array of small satellites that deliver up to 150 megabits per second. SpaceX plans to double this rate in the future. According to a recent speed test by Ookla, Starlink recorded its fastest median download speed in the first quarter of 2022 at 160 megabits per second in Lithuania. Starlink also clocked at 91 megabits per second in the US, 97 megabits per second in Canada, and 124 megabits per second in Australia. Starlink in Mexico was the fastest satellite internet in North America with a median download speed of 105.91 megabits per second. The speed test further revealed that upload speeds have seen a downward curve of at least 33% in the US, from 16.29 megabits per second in the first quarter of 2021 to 9.33 megabits per second in the second quarter of 2022. This is likely due to the fact that Starlink users in the US have increased over the past couple of years. According to Starlink's website, it offers high speed and latency as low as 20 milliseconds in most locations. Speaking of availability, Starlink services are now available on all 7 continents on Earth, and that's including Antarctica, the latest populated continent. The development was confirmed by SpaceX in a tweet. SpaceX retweeted a tweet by the National Science Foundation and wrote, "Starlink is now on all 7 continents. In such a remote locations like Antarctica, the capability is enabled by Starlink's space laser network." The National Science Foundation said that US Antarctic program scientists are over the moon after increasing the bandwidth and connectivity for scientific support. NSF tweeted, "NSF-supported USAP scientists in Antarctica are over the moon. Starlink is testing polar service with a newly deployed user terminal at McMurdo Station, increasing bandwidth and connectivity for science support." While Starlink might be available on every continent, it currently provides service to 36 countries with limited coverage areas. In the United States, the company plans to expand coverage to the rest of the continental US by the end of 2023. Although a few countries including Pakistan, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka are marked as coming soon on Starlink's coverage map, Starlink has no current plans to offer services to several countries including Russia, China, Cuba, and North Korea. Meanwhile, US-based wireless carrier T-Mobile and SpaceX announced Starlink satellites to be launched next year, can connect directly to the 5G phones over existing cellular brands. Starlink satellites will utilize T-Mobile's mid-band spectrum to create a new network. Mid-band or C-band is used for 5G rollout since it can balance both capacity and coverage. Musk said, SpaceX's next-generation Starlink satellites, the first of which is planned to launch on SpaceX's next-generation Starship rocket whenever it is fully developed, will have larger antenna that will allow connectivity directly to mobile phones on the T-Mobile network. Starlink services have made serious progress and will only get better in the coming years. Well, that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed watching this one. Thank you for watching.